He built everything: respect, authority, fear, and still, one flaw buried deep beneath it all was enough to burn his kingdom to ash, not because he wasn't strong, but because he didn't see what was rotting beneath the surface. Machiavelli warned us, most powerful men don't fall from weakness. They fall from the illusion of strength. And that illusion? It starts with a hidden trait, one that looks harmless, until it's too late. By the end of this video, you won't just know what it is. You'll know how to erase it before it erases everything else. Here's the truth: no one tells powerful men. It's not failure that destroys them. It's comfort. It's believing that past success guarantees future control. You stop sharpening your edge. You start trusting too easily. You start thinking you've earned immunity. But power has no permanent throne. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote not for the rising, but for the ones already at the top, because that's where the cracks form. The hidden weakness. It's thinking strength alone is enough. It's leading without paranoia. It's mistaking fear for loyalty. And when you forget that, you don't lose power. You surrender it, slowly, quietly, without even noticing. If you understand why strength without vigilance always backfires, comment this: strength without vigilance is weakness in disguise. The most dangerous moment in a man's life is when he starts believing he can't be touched. He stops refining his instincts. He stops questioning intentions. And worst of all, he starts listening to praise more than silence. Machiavelli warned, the flatterer is more dangerous than the assassin, because the flatterer gets close. That's how powerful men fall. They don't get overpowered. They get outmaneuvered by softer forces, by admiration, by trust. You let your guard down, not when someone betrays you, but when you convince yourself they never will. And that's the hidden weakness. You trade awareness for approval, and by the time you realize it, the knife's already in. Now, if you're not just looking to be entertained, but to be sharpened, subscribe. You'll fit right in. One of the most overlooked weaknesses that destroys powerful men is the moment they shift from building to preserving. It sounds wise, it feels responsible, but it marks the beginning of decline. You stop taking risks. You start defending your legacy instead of expanding it, and slowly you become a slave to what you've already created. Machiavelli warned of this decay. Not all weakness looks like fear. Some of it looks like pride. Some of it sounds like, I've done enough. But power that stops moving starts dying. So ask yourself, are you leading or just protecting the image of who you used to be? Real power doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, and it never seeks fairness. It observes, it calculates, and when it moves, it doesn't ask for permission. Machiavelli knew this. The man who needs to be liked will always be controlled by those who understand that need. So here's the truth. You don't need validation. You need clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to walk away from. Because power is not about domination. It's about direction. Knowing exactly where you stand and never flinching when others test it. Another silent weakness that destroys powerful men is their inability to say no. No to flattery. No to distraction. No to the people who only show up when it's easy and vanish when it's war. Because when you can't say no, your boundaries rot. And when your boundaries rot, your time, focus, and reputation bleed out slowly. Machiavelli didn't see kindness as a virtue. He saw it as a tool, one that should be used sparingly and with purpose. So remember this: every time you avoid conflict to keep the peace, you plant the seed of your own collapse. Power isn't just about what you build, it's about what you're willing to reject, loudly, clearly, and without apology. And one of the final, fatal weaknesses of powerful men is mistaking ego for identity. You start to believe the image others have of you, instead of the truth you've buried to maintain it. You avoid feedback, you ignore discomfort, and you convince yourself that silence from others means you're right, not just feared. But here's what Machiavelli knew: the man who refuses to evolve invites his own irrelevance. Because ego doesn't protect you, it isolates you. It locks you inside a version of yourself you've outgrown but refuse to outlive. Real power doesn't need to pretend. It adapts, it studies, and it's never too proud to change when change is survival. So here's the truth: strength doesn't make you untouchable. Awareness does. Adaptation does. The willingness to look at your flaws before they become fatal does. Machiavelli didn't write for the weak. He wrote for those willing to face themselves, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. If this hit harder than you expected, give it a like. Quiet minds like yours aren't common. And now you tell us in the comments, what's the one weakness you're still working to eliminate before it eliminates you? We'll be reading.